typically a very single-player game kind of guy, those games with rich worlds or niche gameplay that's all designed for one player to experience on their own, then talk about it with their friends. Recently, check the asterisk on that, I decided to enlist the help of a close friend of mine to play a little game called It Takes Two. This little co-op gem is all about a little British family that is on the brink of divorce, and through the powers of magic, the parents get shrunk into doll form because of their daughter's tears and magic, and go on a special quest to get their human bodies back, and maybe learn the meaning of love along the way. It's not a very complex game, but I kinda loved it. So join me, if you will, as we kick off February with a game all about the wonders and magic of divorce. So, after getting shrunk down into dolls, our two main characters, named May and Cody, realize they're gonna have to work together to find a way out of this nightmare. Of course, they fight over whose fault this is until the sentient book Dr. Hakim shows up and keeps preaching about collaboration being the only way to get through this, since this is a two-player game after all. We get our first task of escaping the shed, and we go from there. It's full of all sorts of collaborative puzzles, at least in this part, even down to the first boss fight, the vacuum cleaner. It needs people to work together, and boy, I wonder if this is the theme of the game. Anyways, after the vacuum fight, we get launched into the abyss. Each character receives unique items that work in tandem with the other's item. Like in the shed, May gets a hammerhead, and Cody gets 3 magic throwing nails. The nails can be used for May to swing across gaps, or to hit faraway targets and hold things in place. The hammerhead lets May do the aforementioned swinging and other stuff that I don't remember. Progress further and further into the depths of the garage, and eventually you'll have to fight this sentient toolbox in a really neat little fight that leads us back up to the attic of the shed and giving us access to the tree, because we need to get closer to the house and find Rose so we can break this curse and get that damn divorce. God, I hate this freak that I'm playing this game with. I'm joking, you're the best. Anyways, me and the freak continue our journey into the tree where we're gonna get involved in a war between the squirrels and the wasps. And we get to fool around with our new toys, a flame bolt thrower for May and a sap shooter for Cody, which allows us to commit some tag team war crimes. It's like the Vietnam War all over again, napalm and flamethrowers and all. Anyways, setting aside the Jacob Singer type shit, we're gonna go through the tree, fight the wasps, solve puzzles, and find out that the wasp queen is actually a bumblebee in disguise, and flee the tree using the squirrel plane because the squirrels are gonna kill you for trying to spare the bumblebee. Take the plane, and after a really fun flying dogfight sequence, crash into Rose's room so you can finally see if she can get us out of this predicament that she put us in. In Rose's room, we realize that since Rose's tears are what got us into this magical situation in the first place, they'll definitely get us out. Problem is, we can't get her attention at all, so we devise a devious little scheme involving a little bit of regicide and Rose's favorite toy, a stuffed elephant. We explore this fantastic little castle that we made, and make our way to the throne and figure out how we're gonna kill this creature. It tries to run, but Lord knows it can't escape us or the claw machine. And then begins the torture sequence where we drag the monarch to the edge of the castle and throw her over, after having removed a couple of limbs and an ear for good measure. Rose notices her favorite toy hit the ground and destroyed. We launch ourselves towards Rose and absorb the sweet, sweet rain of tears, but it does nothing. And oh my god, this is such a comically dark part of the game. The whole dragging the elephant to its death part is punctuated by it pleading so hard for us not to kill it, and we couldn't stop laughing at how dark this is. And the bathing in tears, that shit almost had me in tears, because again, I was laughing absurdly hard. Am I a bad person? Maybe. Is it objectively really funny? Oh yeah, you know it is. Anyhows, we get another visit from Dr. Hakim, and I'll tell you I've ignored this rat bastard a lot so far, but I have to mention him now because this guy is so annoying. I mean, holy shit, man. He interrupts everything just to make some kind of stupid speech about why we need to collaborate and work together through our issues to get our normal bodies back. And he does it all in the worst way possible. Anyways, for reasons I don't fully remember, we end up inside of our beloved cuckoo clock, and it's time for a little time travel madness plus some cloning. It's more puzzles like I've been ignoring, and we're gonna just carry on into the next therapy sesh. Dr. Hakim has now upped the ante on his shit, and while we've been learning how to work together, we need to learn how to be more supportive of each other. And after an ice world, which is really cool and fun, but we don't get to talk about that here, we're off to the garden to support Cody's gardening habit that we've kind of been ignoring or something. It's a neat level with some cool puzzles and unique things like beetle riding and a mole stealth section. The boss here is Cody's special plant. No, it's not a weed plant, get your head out of the gutter. It's just the first plant he had in the garden that he really loved, but has neglected, and we've got to help make it not evil by trimming the negative parts away. Afterwards, we still don't get it, so we're gonna have to go to the attic to explore May's big forgotten interest: singing. The attic is all about setting up a big stage for May to put on a show, and after many sections of gameplay that aren't interesting to recap, it's time to put on the show. May performs, her and Cody have come to an understanding, they kiss, and wouldn't you know it, that breaks the curse. True love or something has saved the day, and now that we're humans again, we run to find Rose, and she's running away, because she thinks this is all her fault. We then book it towards the bus stop, tell Rose that us wanting to get a divorce wasn't all her fault like she thought it was. She actually was the main reason, but she doesn't have to know that. And we've learned to work through our differences, and maybe divorce is off the menu for us. Tragic. The actual story of this game has nothing to do with the game, and everything to do with the experience of playing it. See, the story recap here indicates that this went pretty smooth, right? Well, it did, for the most part, and the parts of it that didn't were some of the most fun I've had with a game in a while. One of the more fun little moments was the torture chamber in the tree, where we got stuck for a very long time, because it was very funny. It's exactly what you think it is. One of you gets stuck in a murder machine until the other lets you out, and it is required for an achievement if you're going for 100%. Outside of that, it was always funny to do a little trolling by removing a platform the other person needed at the last possible moment, or causing them to get crushed by a falling brick, or just kind of exploding them for the thrill of it. But even then, there's one other part that was more fun than the sabotage, and it was competing in the minigames. There are 25 different minigames hidden across every chapter, and they're really all over the place in terms of content and variety. One of them was this moon gravity block painting war that was incredibly tense and fun. Another one was a curling minigame, and the worst one was chess. One of the final minigames is just chess, and I'll be honest, neither of us knew how to play chess. So it was a lot of me just fumbling around saying stupid names about every move like the Glupshido Gambit. The first round was bullshit because my friend won by timeout and that shouldn't have counted. The next round was not bullshit because I deserved that loss. But win by timeout, that kind of shit is for actual losers. Kind of like win by spell in Clash Royale. Seriously, if you're a degenerate who goes for win by spell and sees nothing wrong with that, you should consider rethinking your entire life because you're a terrible person who doesn't even deserve the most basic of human rights. Sorry, where was I? I kind of blacked out there. Oh, yeah, It Takes Two's minigames. The minigames are the real big collectible in the game, actually kind of the only collectible, because the non-story based achievements are all tied to experiential things, but that's besides the point. I think the minigames are a great addition to break up the flow of the game, mostly because you have to go out of your way to find them, most of them anyway, and the hunt is as fun as the games themselves, and that's fantastic. Now, I did just mention the other achievements, and that ties into the exploration aspect of the game. Most of the achievements are based on you finding things, like the torture chamber, or an Easter egg referencing the studio's other big co-op game, A Way Out, from 2017. These are hidden off the beaten path, and I think running around every area and searching for these is truly rewarding, especially because you're playing this with a buddy who's as motivated to find them as you are. This game's story is nothing compared to the meta story here about completing a co-op game. I'm a bit of a completionist, which is to say that seeing everything a game has to offer makes giving it a review a bit easier since I can then be as thorough as I want to. But also it feels good to get as much value out of a game as I can. That being said, this is usually a solo practice, because coordinating another person to work with you takes a lot of effort, and with the usual kind of games I try to complete, 100% co-op sounds like it would take 1,000 years. But here, It takes two, literally. I was lucky that we were able to get through everything in a few sessions, and more so than usual, I'm glad I went for 100% because it made the ending feel more rewarding. We went out of our way to do everything before the final level because it made the ending hit harder, at least from the character's perspective. In reality, it felt like that kiss scene from Free Guy where it's all super romantic in the game world, but in reality, the lead female character looks extremely concerned the whole time, and that was really funny to me. It's one of those things, like skipping cutscenes, where it requires both people to hold the button in order to skip, and the constant back and forth game of chicken we'd play every time a cutscene came up was a lot of fun. Just trying to bait the other person into making the cutscene skip was so funny. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what the final cutscene is like. Since you have to hold the button to make the characters kiss, you can run it like a game of chicken, and it's really fun to mess around with for a little bit. That and making jokes about what we were doing, like replacing the dialogue around finding the child at the end with them being like, we're getting divorced anyway and it's all your fault, instead of them actually learning anything, was incredibly stupid, but between friends, fantastic bit, no notes. That's what makes the experience of this game so special. It's the real collaborative nature of comedy and the joy of doing stupid shit with your friends. So maybe the real lesson was that more games should be co-op because it's always more enjoyable with someone else there or something. I know I neglected a lot of things about this game, like I skipped large swaths of gameplay in the main campaign, mostly because I didn't want to talk about every puzzle. That defeats the point of this being a review. If I wanted to show you every puzzle, I'd have done this as a Let's Play, and that's not in the cards. Anyways, I do want to run through my last minute things before the divorce is finalized. I genuinely despise Dr. Hakim. That stupid douchebag book fills me with nothing but rage. He's the most annoying character in all of fiction. I get he has pure intentions, mostly, but my brother in crust, he could have been more direct about what we needed to do from the start and not been as deeply unhelpful as he was. Now, maybe it was an intentional choice to make the book the most awful thing in the game, just to give us something to bond over, but I hate him. Every time he was on screen, I was hoping we could recreate the thing with the elephant plushie, but with him, and with more malicious intent. I despise this creature. His smug aura mocks me, and you should hate him too. Anyways, I do want to say that I think while this game is good, the narrative is nothing special. We all know the usual story of this kind of thing. Husband and wife consider divorce for one reason or another, and they have to go on a journey where they'll realize that divorce isn't the actual answer by the end of it. It's nothing revolutionary, but I think it works better as a game compared to the usual movie formats portrayed in, maybe because of the fact that this is a co-op experience. I do think that this being such a standard narrative is still disappointing, though, just because every other aspect of the game just oozes charm. It does so many crazy things so well. Like, there's a dungeon crawler section in Rose's room where you get to use Diablo-style powers, and it's such a unique thing to see in this game. But I just wish they gave the same creative thought to the narrative. You can do so much with this premise, but I think it's fine that they didn't and focused more on the gameplay. I just like my games to have a good narrative on top of everything else. With all of that in mind, I think I've said enough about this game. It's a good game, get it whenever it's on sale and play it on the couch with a friend. Or if you can organize it, play online with a buddy. It's a great time. It's not the longest game in the world, even if you go for 100% of everything, it really shouldn't take that long. You could probably knock it out at a long weekend if you really tried, and you'd have fun doing it. Overall, for a good little co-op experience with a kinda weak and predictable story, I'm thinking my final rating is a broken marriage out of 10. Thank you for watching, it means a lot as always. Please consider subscribing, liking the video, leaving a comment if you'd like, and stick around. I promise I've got some real good stuff coming towards the end of this month. And I'm hoping I can get to share a little teaser for a big thing I'm working on soon. No promises though. Anyhows, my name is A Leg of Glazed Ham. Thanks again, and good night.